guys, welcome back to OCD Recovery's YouTube channel. Gemma here. I wanted to do a video on parental guilt today. So this is something that I think as a parent with or without OCD, everyone experiences. That being because we care about our children, we care about how they are, how things affect them. So it's natural for that to display as feeling guilty if we feel like we're not giving them what they need, if we feel like we're not doing the best in our ability to look after them, to raise them, to improve their lives. I think parental guilt, as I say, we all experience it. We all experience it. But as with everything that people experience, people with OCD tend to experience things to an extreme, even if it is an emotion that other people experience. So anger, shame, guilt, hatred, lots of emotions that everyone experiences. Well, dislike maybe. When you have OCD, you do tend to experience them to an extreme. And that is because of the irrational beliefs that we hold around those things. So for instance, with parental guilt, say my daughter wanted something and I couldn't get it for her. The belief that I would be holding there would be, I should be able to get that for her. If I don't get that for her, that makes me a bad parent. And that would kind of be the belief that I have there. Or if I did this thing, that makes me a bad parent. I shouldn't have done that. If I have done that, then I could have ruined her life. And so I'm going to give an example. So it's the example that I use a lot with a lot of things. But I would say this is still something I struggle with a little bit now. Not so much in day-to-day life, but just when she brings it up, I definitely still feel guilt. But luckily to a normal extent now, not to OCD. I'm a terrible parent. I'm a terrible person. I can't deal with this. I'll never get over this. But it's something that I definitely still, when she brings it up, I feel a little tug of, oh, I wish that hadn't happened. But you can't change what has happened, and it was a justified reaction for how I was feeling at that point. But it was when I had the really bad panic attack in front of her, when I thought I was having a heart attack, and I was laid on the floor of a car park and she was crying and she was absolutely terrified. And occasionally she will bring it up because she talks about it in if people say, oh, anything bad that's happened in your life, she'll bring that up as the worst thing that's happened to her. And obviously her viewing it like that does make me feel a tug of something. But also I know that how I was at that time, I was just dealing with what I could, that I didn't have the knowledge at the time to know that those sensations I was feeling, I could have ignored them and I could have carried on and allowed that to pass. At the time it felt so real and so scary, and I didn't have the ability or the knowledge to not do that. And even if I did have the ability and the knowledge to not do that, by having a panic attack and allowing her to see what was going on with me, that even doing that wouldn't have made me a bad person or a bad parent. That would have just made me someone who acted in a way that I would have preferred not to act to, and I would prefer to have dealt with it differently. But I'm human and I'm fallible, and we can all do things that we look at later down the line and we feel guilty about. But that doesn't mean to say that we're written off. And when it comes to our children, it's really, really natural for us to feel guilt. And particularly when our themes latch on to them, if you're struggling with ROCD, POCD, harm OCD, and it attaches to your children, you're going to feel a lot of shame and guilt around that until you break it down and you look at those beliefs that you're holding that tell you that you're a terrible person for what you're experiencing. And you know, it is possible to break those things down, because I've done it. Other parents within the community have done it. And I don't think you'll ever stop yourself from feeling parental guilt as such, because everyone does. But you can definitely stop yourself from feeling like it's the end of the world to experience the feeling of being guilty, because that's completely irrational. You know, to write yourself off for not performing perfectly as a parent is completely irrational. And with some work, you can definitely see that that is the case. I also just wanted to mention here that I, of course, talk from a completely mother perspective, but I do also speak to a lot of dads that experience parental guilt around the themes that they're having attaching themselves to their children. And I don't think there's any like correlation between it being a mother or it being a father. I think just parental in general, it's really common for it to latch, because OCD does tend to latch to the things we care about the most, so whatever we're placing the most value on at the time. And as a parent, your value is going to be on your children, the same as, you know, if you're in a relationship, that's where your value is going to be. If you care about your religion, that's where your value is going to be. And that's why OCD will go for those things. But not using that as an excuse when you're feeling those feelings as, oh, you know, this is just OCD, it's just attacking my children because I love them, because that becomes reassurance, which we know does not work, because OCD will always find a way around reassurance, and it'll just come back with something else, and it'll come back worse, which is why reassuring will never work. But if you have any parental related questions about OCD, feel free to pop them in the comments below and I will answer them. Thank you.